Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. We're visiting with Liz Ryan, who is an author, local author. And good morning.
Good morning.
Interesting title. My Mommy Had a Miscarriage.
Yes.
Liz, that's a tough topic to take on.
It is.
What made you decide to do that?
Well, my husband got me a journal in February for Valentine's Day and wrote, because I'm a writer by nature, but wrote, whatever you want to do. And his first list was a children's book. And then he went down the line. And so 3 days later, I happened to start writing some paragraphs here and there, and then realized that I might actually have wrote a book about our miscarriage. We lost our baby on 12/29/2009.
I'm so sorry.
Yes. And so it's been a journey because it's 8 years almost. But it seemed I tell everybody that it's painfully easy that I wrote the book, probably in a few days, and then edited and sent it to friends. But it seemed like it kind of fell on to the page rather than struggling to write.
When your husband encouraged you to write a children's book, was this the children's book he was thinking of?
Not so much. I wasn't thinking, because I've always wrote down ideas for years, okay, if I write a children's book, what would the topic be? This was not the topic.
No.
On any of my notes that I have, but I don't even know what made me decide to start writing it. It just, I think I wrote a few sentences that rhymed, and oh, okay, that sounds really cute.
Yeah.
As cute as it could be for the subject.
I can't imagine, first of all, the difficulty in explaining a miscarriage to a child. So how did you navigate that? Because it's a difficult message to share with a child.
Right.
And you're doing it through rhyme and story and something that's actually, I don't want to be glib here, but it's something that's fun to read together.
Yeah. Well, it was our first baby that we lost, so I don't have firsthand experience saying, okay,
explaining it to
hey,
someone.
we lost our baby. Mm-hmm. But all of our kids know about our baby. So, and my son knows he's our rainbow baby. And so we openly talk, hey, this is our baby. And we have an idea of what miscarriage is. And I tried to write it because I did some research, and there really is not any books out there. Maybe two.
I'm going to guess, I would have guessed zero.
Right.
And that this would be the first.
Yeah. And my main thing that I noticed is they kind of beat around the bush in a nice way. We're very open with our kids. And so instead of saying, something happened to the baby or the baby disappeared or something along those lines, I used real language okay, the baby died. So one time in the book it says the baby died. And that's just because our kids, from my experience with our kids, is they understand a whole lot more than we think they understand. And obviously, I feel like my friends, this year has been a horrible year of miscarriages. And so my friends have had just recurrent miscarriages, and they have kids that they have to explain it to. So I was thinking, what could my friends' kids that are all the same ages as ours read with their parents? Because again, it wasn't a secret that their parents were pregnant. And it's not easy to recover from a miscarriage. So kids are very in tune with their mom and dad and their feelings. So I think this is a nice in-between to try and bridge that gap with families.
There's so many directions I want to go with you. First of all, write that your friends have had, this is going to be a wonderful resource for your friends that have gone through this.
Yes.
But first you sit down with your children and you try to explain to them the concept that there's going to be another member of the family.
Right.
And then you have to follow that up with a conversation but we're not going to meet that person of our family until we're on the other side of eternity. That is
Absolutely.
A much harder conversation to have with them.
Yes.
I know you can research this, but if there's nothing out there, what did you do? How did you pull this off?
Well, I started writing, and I tried to see it kind of fell into seasons. So there's seasons of life. And once I started putting the book onto paper, I realized that it's easy to explain seasons to children because they see, the leaves change and the snow comes and the spring comes and everything blooms. And just like a pregnancy, this all happens
That's
too.
neat.
And so it again accidentally collided where it really made sense to tie it into nature because kids they love mud and they love playing outside. That's their jam. So they understand that. So if you can put it into, okay, a ladybug grows and caterpillars turn into butterflies. So it made it a little easier to put it in to that perspective and then tie it into a kid's perspective and make it pretty simple.
So let's talk about your book specifically.
Yes.
This is a child telling the story about her mommy.
Correct. So it's coming from my mommy had a miscarriage. So most sentences says my mommy felt or my mommy and my daddy. So it's from a little girl talking.
Her perspective.
Right.
Have you bounced this off your own children? Were they your audience that you test marketed it on?
I have read the book to them, and the main character is Crazy Daisy, and she is like a character of our family. So she's like a part of the family. My son draws Crazy Daisy all the time now because he knows that he's seen me drawing her for 4 or 5 months now, and my daughter painted with me, so they know the scenes of the book. And so I think it was the exciting day when they got the proof in the mail and got to read the book. So
is the book does it end on a happy note? How do you wind it up, and how do you make it really a children's book genre and not just a really sad story?
That is the tricky part. So when I wrote it, I tried to make it from, it goes from obviously they're super excited that they're having a baby. And then the Crazy Daisy walks through the natural stages of grief. It doesn't say, grief, and it doesn't say the specific words, but you can get the undertone of what the mom is feeling and Crazy Daisy's perspective on how she might be frustrated because she doesn't understand what is going on and why is her mommy sad. And then it does wrap up on a happy note, and it talks about, how she's always going to be her mommy's Crazy Daisy, and their baby's always going to be their baby. Aww. And so the last page is Crazy Daisy with like a super happy smile and just talking about how they're both always part of the family. So there's not a separation between this, you're both real life babies.
Yes.
Which I wanted to emphasize.
Yes.
Because a lot of times with miscarriage, it's almost like it's pretend for some people. If you don't have if you weren't far enough along, which is, just unimaginable. But if you lose your baby and you're 6 weeks pregnant, it's almost like in the community or in yourself, you feel your baby wasn't worth enough to be mentioned, or it doesn't warrant a real life, a tick like, okay, that's 1 baby, 2 babies.
I always wondered why we weren't allowed to have funerals for a miscarriage and give a family an opportunity to grieve, because you have begun to get excited and plan and welcome this person into your family.
Right.
And then suddenly this real life is gone.
Right.
You need time to grieve that loss.
Yeah, and closure. And I didn't, with ours 8 years ago, I tell everybody, social media was not around 8 years ago, maybe just starting up. And I was it was like a Word document to me. I had no clue what Facebook was. And there weren't the communities that there are now for miscarriage support. And so when we lost our baby, we didn't really know what to do. Like, okay, well, I guess we just say we lost our baby. And some people understood and some people didn't. My one friend, who I've learned from, which I wish I would be like her, she has named all of her babies. So regardless of her, she never knew the gender. But she has four babies that all have names. And I think how nice, like, I wish I would have named my baby to say,
You still
okay, well, we
can.
can. Exactly. I told my
Yes.
husband that the other day.
Yes.
That we can give them a name and say their name and make it a more personal
Yes.
family member.
One day you're going to meet this person.
I know. It will be
Yes.
so crazy to see what that is like.
Yes. Yes. What was the process of writing it then and having it turn into a book, getting published? And how did you decide whether to go with a publishing company or to self-publish? Because you've got something here I think everybody's going to clamor for
Yeah.
because it's done well.
Thank you.
How did you go about it? What was your publishing process?
Oh, my publishing process was first write the book.
Yes.
And I printed it off and I emailed it to a few friends that were supportive and read the book, told me if I needed to make changes. And at that time, again, like I didn't really believe in myself. Not that I didn't believe in myself, but it didn't occur to me that I would happen to publish a book. And although that was my intent, and, I kept saying, okay, I want to do it by Mother's Day or by this date. I made arbitrary dates. And then I realized I just need to do the next thing. So the next thing was have a friend edit it. And so she checked it for grammar. And then I needed to do illustrations, which again, in my choice, I chose to do illustrations for budget because it is really expensive. It can be to hire an illustrator and because they can't see inside my head.
Well,
and
and
I knew exactly what I wanted.
Your illustrations are awesome.
Thank you.
I had to ask you first, are you an artist?
I am an artist. Not this. I've never painted because I feel like my
Really?
hand's shaky.
Oh,
I've
my
always been like
goodness.
pencil. And honestly, I haven't done art probably for like 10 years.
Well, I'm telling you, Liz, this is like an anointed project because
Thank you.
every single page of this is absolutely beautiful. And this was watercolor?
Yeah, watercolor from Michael's for $5.
Oh, my. It's just amazing. Okay, how long did that take you? Because every page is absolutely beautiful, and I love how you go through the seasons.
Yes, the pages, well, I guess the illustrations probably took 3 months. And that's because the first month I would do maybe 1 or 2. And it took me a while to figure out how to balance my real life with me all of a sudden deciding I'm going to write a book and I'm going to illustrate it too, and then I'm going to publish it and explain that to my kids and my husband that I need
You're
this
doing
time.
this while you have a home to run and
Correct.
family to take care of
Right.
and children to feed.
Yes.
Yes.
And so then I ended up just starting to plug away. I was like, okay, maybe this is real. So I would my husband and I would schedule times like, okay, I need 2 hours. And he would make fun of me because I'd park my car in a park and paint because I couldn't do it at home. And I didn't want to go to a coffee shop where everybody looks at you. I just wanted to I like listening to music when I paint. And so I just tried to do one illustration at a time. And I took little note cards and I wrote each page of my book, okay, if this is going to have words and this is what I want the illustration. So I ended up with like 40 note cards that I would just flip through, and eventually I got to page 41, and I think I celebrated that I finished my 41st note card of illustrations.
Wow.
And it was actually really fun because I didn't think that I could actually do this.
Well, surprise.
Yes, I know.
You've done it. And can I just read this?
Yes.
Just a little example. Little things remind us of our baby every day, like the clouds in the sky and the songs that we sing. Boy, do I wish our baby had stayed.
Yes.
How do you think in your mind kind of that rhyme and rhythm?
I do. And I tried, and I was scared of it because Dr. Seuss is huge for rhyming. And so I think I can't rhyme like Dr. Seuss. And what if people think I'm trying to be like Dr. Seuss? And then it just made sense.
Yes.
So, and the whole time through the book, I always told my husband, Stephen, that I felt like it was Jesus.
Yeah.
Because I would write and I would think about it, and then I would either get goosebumps or just start crying. I'm like, okay, like I need to publish this.
Yeah.
And there was this urgency there.
It's almost like it's already written and you're transcribing it. once you hit in that groove, isn't it?
Yes, it was.
He had this. He's got this message for families, and you got to be the tool,
I know.
the pencil that he did this through. We need to take a very short break. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.